Okay, all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter, or should I say Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter? Because once again, we started some shit, and it took off, and now it's been taken, tweaked, and it's being used against us to make us out to be the bad guy once again. So for this video, I want to touch on this topic. The racist people out there, I know it's some of y'all. I know it's not many of y'all anymore. I know y'all the minority. I don't care what kind of propaganda y'all put out there. I know y'all just struggling to try to exist. Okay, so I'm not gonna put too much focus on the stupid people. I want to focus on the people who really may be unknowing of the situation, okay? Because the critique that I hear a lot is that we continue to play the victim, okay? And to play the victim means that you're not being victimized. So that's one of the critiques, and the reason for that critique is that supposedly the shit that happened to black people happened a long time ago, and we need to get over it and move on. So I wanted to basically go through a little timeline and see if I could bring people up to date on the fact that this shit has never stopped, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the 60s and bring it to the present, okay? And I'm starting in the 60s. Why? Because the shit was way worse, obviously, the further back we go. So I could go back further and point out just horrific shit. But I'm going to go with the 60s because there's still a lot of people alive that was alive in the 60s that actually got to see it with their own eyes, okay? The direct segregation of white and black people, direct racism, okay? Little white boys calling grown black men boy, and that black man had to take it, okay? Black men not being able to go into restaurants, water fountains that said white only and colored, bathrooms that said white only, outhouses that said colored, okay? So that was in the 60s. There's still people alive, white, black, Spanish, Asian, that lived in America that experienced that. You can talk to people today who saw that, experienced it with their own eyes. Okay. 70s. You have Nixon, who left office in 1974, and we have a direct aide of Nixon who has admitted on the record that the war on drugs was directly targeted at the people who opposed the Vietnam War and black people. Okay, he's on the record stating that they were going to strategically associate hippies with marijuana because your hippies was the biggest opposers to the war, and then they were going to associate black people with heroin. And when they did this, it would give them the ability to do multiple things. One, through the media, they would be able to completely tear apart the character of the leaders of these people. They would be able to incarcerate the leaders of these people. It would give them the access to go in and search these people's homes and businesses. Okay, and so this is one of Nixon's aides on record stating this. Then you have Nixon himself on tape. You can hear his own voice. It's not hearsay. It's not transcripts. You hear his voice stating it, that they planned on putting black families on welfare to tear the black family structure apart in America. Okay, so that's the 70s, Nixon. So 60s, you still got people drinking from separate water fountains. 70s, you got Nixon on tape saying directly to his aides that he wanted to tear black families apart and target them with drugs. Okay, let's move to the 80s. Ronald Reagan. You Republicans love you some Ronald Reagan. You black people, Republicans love you some Ronald Reagan. And you the dumbest motherfuckers. But anyway, the Contras. We know for fact there's evidence, eyewitness testimony that drugs was brought in and strategically placed in black communities to fund the Contras in Nicaragua. That one is self-explanatory. No need to go into the details on that. Let's move to the 90s, where the Clinton administration targets black people, young black youth specifically, as super predators, and starts a mass incarceration movement to lock black people up on a very, very massive rate. That was very successful, considering that we have more black men in prison today than black slaves 10 years prior to the Civil War. So slavery is still present today. Moving on to the new millennium, we have black people being killed on video left and right. Women, men, children, all black, being killed. And there's other races that's dealing with the same type of stuff. A lot of our Hispanic brothers are being killed. There's a lot of white people that's being killed. Asian people are being killed. Arab people are being killed. Like, I get that. We understand that. But when those people get killed, the people who commit the crimes go to jail. The difference when black people get killed is the people who commit the crime get off. So that's the difference. Okay, we understand that horrific shit happens to everybody, and we understand that all lives matter. What we don't understand is why other lives matter more than black lives. Why when black lives are taken, nobody is punished, but when other lives are taken, they are. Okay, so from the 60s on up to present day, black people are still being targeted. Okay, so the conversation of Black Lives Matter is still relevant. Okay, and for those who don't understand, I hope that brought a little bit more understanding to the table. That being said, black people, what do we need to do to move this conversation forward so that we don't have to have it anymore? One, we have to stop responding to the dumbass conversation topic itself. It's not going to get us anywhere to try to convince people who don't get it to get it. What we have to focus on is ourselves, getting our economic infrastructure up and running so that we can take control of our destiny in America finally, once and for all. Okay. For my critics to Black Lives Matter, if you are black and you're criticizing it, then I'm not going to waste my time with you. For everyone else, please, what you can do is stop questioning us and stop critiquing us, and instead start a dialogue amongst yourself to get some empathy towards where we're coming from. Okay, I feel like if you can understand a little bit more what's actually happening to us as humans, then you can we can bridge the gap as far as communication goes, and that will change a whole lot. And then continue to just appreciate each other, like on a collective front. Black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Middle Eastern, it doesn't matter what your belief system is. We have to continue to find appreciation for each other and more love for each other. I think that's how we move forward. But as far as the conversation, Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, I think we need to dead it. It needs to go. Black people, we need to focus on economy. White people, focus on yourselves, and we'll focus on ourselves and continue to appreciate each other and love each other, and we move on as a people. So I think this video is very important to get out there. I hope I brought some understanding to some people. King Bad Black, I'm going to go ahead and sign off like always. Y'all have a wonderful day.